Okay, let's start discussing some of the maybe some of you are feeling difficulty to access the software related to the assignment. So I'll tell you that how from where you can access that software and what are the different steps are used to do the assignment. And for example, I've also uh, uploaded the this on LMS as well. That how you can do the assignment, what are the different steps are used to do the assignment. For example, I have given you the assignment to do the encryption and decryption using the PGP standard. So that standard particularly consists of different applications where different applications having uh, this is standard which is using to encrypt the data, to decrypt the data, like for example, email applications like the Outlook or some other applications. They are using this standard as a standard to encrypt the data and to decrypt the data. So as far as this standard is concerned, it can decrypt the data, like for example, an email, like document or any data on the disk, for example. So you can use this as a standard to encrypt the data and decrypt the data. So how you can do this? Actually, you need to have some software to encrypt that. For example, I have provided you the tutorial about uh, how you can do different tasks on this. So there's a tutorial. I also uploaded this on the LMS as well. So here is a download link, so you can get the software from here. That is a GNU PGP software. So from here you can get the software. Uh, So this is the tutorial that I have provided you to do the assignment. So so the assignment that is given to encrypt the data and decrypt the data using a software that is called as a PGP. So in this tutorial here is the download link is provided. So from where you can get the software, for example, here, and then here there's a GNU PGP software. So from where you can get the software, like for example, there is a GPG for Windows. So that is for some other also for other platforms. So you can click there and then you can download the software from here. And once you download the software, you can have a software like this. For example, software. Okay, so this is the software to do different tasks given in the assignment. For example, you are asked to different assignments related to the task that I have given you. For example, here are described here. Uh, so so this is the link that is given from where you can download the software. So after installing the software, you have to create different keys, for example, because you are going to encrypt the data and decrypt the data. So when you create a public key and private key for that, then you can do this. So there are the number of steps are given here. For example, you will start the program, and then you have an option to create the PGP keys, for example. And when you create the PGP keys, like for example, an icon is given here. That's a new key here icon where you generate the key. So it will pop up, you can say, a wizard for that, and then it will ask you that how you can create the keys, and it also contains to which you are going to send that keys, for example, an email address that contains to which you are sending the keys. So after that, you can also define some algorithm to send the key. For example, if the key has been created, and after that you can select a particular algorithm to send that key to other user. So here you can have a Diffie-Hellman or DSS algorithm, for example. You can also select them to send the key to other user, and then for example, there's another wizard or window will be open uh, to define further parameters about the key, that how much size of the key that would be that uh, you want to use for encrypting and decrypting the data. So you will also define this, and also you will define different other characters of the particular key. For example, if you want to define a particular time period, that particular key would be used. After that, that would be reissued. So in this way, you can also define the time period for particular keys which you are creating, and then you can also select a particular password for or give a particular password to further secure the keys whenever when you are sending these keys to other user, for example, and he's going to receive those keys. And then after that you can give the password, and then he can access the keys, and then he can use that key to encrypt the data and decrypt the data. So in this way, you have you can use that to enter to further secure the data. And after that, you can send the keys, uh, send the key to other user. So in this way, here is the option is given, like for example, in the software, there's an icon is given to encrypt the keys, like for example, here you have a detail of the email which you give here, and then there are some other options to ask you uh, about the key, and then it will create the key for you. And once he create the key for you, then you can also send that key to a particular email. So it's asking about the email as well to send the key to other user. So you can use this option or this menu to create the key, and after creating the key, you can send this to other user. So in this way, you can use this software. So if you find any, you do this task, uh, and if you find any difficulty, then you can also ask. Then, for example, we have some other options like here. Uh, as I told you that you can also give some password to the to the keys are, for example, whenever any sender receives that keys and he gets that key and uh, he need to give the password to perform the task, or he need to give the password to do different tasks on the data or on the keys which he has received. So in this way, you can do this with the help of this software. And like for example, there are number of options are given here. You can start the program, and there's an option that is the PGP keys, and you can click on that icon, PGP tray icon, and once you click on over that icon, there will be window will be open, and which will ask you about the password uh, that would be used for the key which you send the key other user. So once that user will get that key, and then he will receive that using an email. And once he receives that with an email, then he can also get that password, and he can enter the password, and then he can access that key. So whenever any data using an email that is received by that receiver, so he can also decrypt that using that key to decrypt the data. So in this way, he can do this with the help of this option. So you have, like for example, number of options here given here to encrypt this in here. For example, there's a uh, encrypt particular key or encrypt particular file or folder. For example, you can do this, and you can also get this option from here as well. That if you want to create a key, for example, and it will have a number of options to create the key. For example, here, if you want to create a key, and then you can use this. Or for example, if you want to create a certificate, then you can also use this option. So in this way, you have a number of options to do different tasks, and then you have for example, um, then after creating the key, you need to send that key to a particular user. So as I showed you that whenever you were creating the key, it will asking you for an email to which you want to send that particular key. So you can enter that through this as well. For example, here it's asking about an email to which you are going to send that particular key. So you can do this with the help of this, and you have also some other options are given here. As I told you that you can also define that, for example, which algorithm you want to use for creating the keys. Like for example, we have a number of algorithms which are used to encrypt the data and decrypt the data. For example, if you want to create a key pair, like public key pair, for example, public key and private key, then you can use this standard, and you have also length also defined there. For example, how much length you want to give to the key. So as we have discussed that the security of the data is also depends on the length of the key which is defined. The larger the length, it will be more secure to encrypt the data, and in this way, the intruder will be unable to uh, it will um, unable to, for example, to decrypt the particular data using a particular key uh, without finding that particular key. So you can give any email, whatever you have an account, you can give your account and your other friend's account, and then you can give that account or email account in here, and then you can send this to the particular email account. So you can have any email account. So where you can send this, and after sending this, you can receive a particular key for that. And once you receive that particular key, and then you can also uh, so this is actually given in uh, the where I discuss a PGP standard. So it's given where I also uploaded the assignment details and as well as the tutorial. I think that would be maybe actually 12 or 13 week maybe. So it's about the BGP standard where I told you about that how we can do the assignment, what are the different tasks are given in the assignment, and I've also uploaded this tutor as well that how you can do. And then you have so after creating the key with the software and given an email to which you want to send the key, so you can give any email account. For example, if there's for example, if you are sending an email to other email account, you can give that email. And once you give that email, so that that would be the receiver, and you will be the sender, for example. So the sender and the receiver receives that email, and when you send the data to the receiver, then he will receive that, encrypt the data, and then he will use the key which he has received to decrypt the data. So in this way he can do this with the help of this task. And then you have number of other options to create the keys, like as we discussed. uh, there's a uh, there's a way to directly send the key to other user, for example. So as we discussed this method, so in this method there's a chance that maybe an intruder is working in between sender and receiver, and he can get that key and he can send that key to the receiver so that he can send its own data to the receiver, and then he can decrypt this with the help of it. So in order to fix this situation or fix this problem, we can have some trusted authority or trusted organization or certification authority which can send the certificates to the users, so that the certificate which would be received from a particular certification authority, that is a trusted authority, and there's a less chance that there could be an intruder. Uh, in the previous case, there could be an intruder which can send the key to other user and encrypt the key with that key. So to protect the system from such type of attacks, to protect the data from such type of attacks, we can have a certification authority, for example, from where the certificates can be accessed or downloaded, and then it can be used by a user to encrypt the data and to decrypt the data. For example, here it could be a dedicated server for that. So you can create the key, and once you create the key, for example, you can save it the particular server. For example, it could be any server here. For example, the example of the server is given here, like pgp keys.mid.edu. So you can have a particular server from where you can get the data, or from where you can access the key. So once that particular key is saved at particular server, and you can now access the particular server to get the keys. And once you get the keys, you can also send them. You can also use them to encrypt the data and decrypt the data. So in this way, So that particular server where the keys are saved, so from where the users can access the keys and use these keys to encrypt the data and decrypt the data. So in this way, you have this option is as well as given here. So like as I told you that how you can create the certificates, like there's an option when you are creating different certificates here. So you can create a certificate request here to a particular certification authority. Then it will create a particular certificate for you, and then you provide the different account details to which the certificates is being sent it. Then that particular certification authority will send that particular certificate to that users, and once they receive the certificate, they can also encrypt they can use this to encrypt the data and to decrypt. So in this way, he can do this with the help of these options which are given here. And like for example, you can have some other options which are given here. Like for example, um, as I told you, once you create the keys, and then you can also, for example, if anyone is going to encrypt the data and he's going to keep himself with a private key, and you want to, and he can send you the public key, and he can use that private key to decrypt the data, and he has sent you a public key to encrypt the data. So in this way, you can also use that key to decrypt the data. For example, this could be you can say a moment for the public key which you have received from that particular user. So once you receive that a key from a particular user, you can also decrypt your data which is being sent by that user using this public key. So in this way, we have discussed that there are a number of ways. Either the user, for example, if you want to send the data to other user, and and he has the private key to decrypt that, and he has sent you the public key to encrypt that. So this could be a situation. Or for example, if you have sent it the public key to other user to decrypt the data using that public key, and you keep the private key with yourself, and in this way he can use that public key to decrypt the data. Or for example, he can get that key from the certification authorities which you have defined, and from to which you have given the details about that how you send the data, and to which users you are going to send the certificates which are used to authenticate particular users. And in this way they can authenticate each other, and they can also be verified with the help of these certificates. So these are the number of options given here you can do. And then you have also as I told you that once you create the email, and then you can also give the details of the email uh, to which you want to send the data, or to which you want to send the data. And when he receives that data or encrypted data, then he will use that key to decrypt that message or to decrypt that email. So in this way, he can use this with the help of encryption methods, with the help of decryption methods which are provided. So the steps which I have given you here, like for example, you can also access this option from here as well. For example, if you want to encrypt a particular data, a particular file, a particular folder, you can also select from here as well, and then select that particular file, And once you have created the keys and using these keys, you can also encrypt that file or folder as well. So, so there's also, for example, if it's received by the receiver or you want to decrypt this, so using this option, you can select a particular file, which could be an encrypted file, and then you select this, and then the keys which you have used to create that particular folder, and you can use those keys to decrypt that particular file or folder. So in this way, you have a number of options are given here, which you can use because there could be the data in the file in the format of an email, there could be the data in the format of some message, for example, or there could be a data in the file in the form of some file. So you can also use this with the help of this software to encrypt the data, to decrypt the data. And then you have a number of other options, like for example, it's also possible that uh, now you use the options where you have created the keys by your own, and you encrypt the data and you decrypt the data. Now here in this option, you can also have some options to encrypt the data with the keys or by default keys. You can also use this with the help of this. For example, uh, you have number of options that I told you that to encrypt the keys. So it's rather better to use the options, like for example, you will generate the keys from there, and then you encrypt the data using those. And so that this would be a good option whenever you are going to encrypt the data and when you are going to decrypt the data. So there's a possibility, if you are using the default keys which are created, and you are using these keys uh, to encrypt the data, to decrypt the data. So there's a chance there may be an intruder has received or has know know about these keys, and then he can use these keys to encrypt the data and to decrypt the data. So it is rather better to, whenever you send the data, you create a key for that, a separate key for that, public key and private key for that. For example, for different messages, that would be you can use different keys for encryption and decryption. Or there's a possible that you can use same key for encryption and decryption for all the messages. So that depends upon you, that how you want to send the data, how you want to secure the data. Because actually, as far as the concept of the certificates are concerned, it's like that you define there the validity of the particular certificate. For example, if a user has got the previous certificate, for example, so then he can uh, the certification authority can reissue the certificate, and then the sender can send the data with the help of their certificate. And in this way, the previous certificate will not be used by an intruder to encrypt the data and to decrypt the data. So in this way, you can have an option to further secure the data if an intruder has received, or if an intruder has got the previous message or previous, you can say, uh, previous certificate to encrypt the data and to decrypt the data. And so uh, you have a number of options. For example, as we have discussed, there's for example, to sign the particular certificate using a key, then you can use this to sign the particular certificate. So as we are discussing, the advantage of signing a particular certificate with a key is that, so in this way we can authenticate a user, we can authenticate the data, from where data is coming and to which data is sent it. So as we have already discussed, if we are using the authentication method, it may be if we use a dually signed signed data, duly signed certificate. It will be also more secure. For example, if we are going to sign with the private key, if we are going to sign with the public key, for example, so it will be also more secure as compared uh, to the data which will be signed by a single key, for example. So in this way, uh, we have number of options. We can use these options to find the particular data for further secure purpose. Um, so you can use these options as well. And then you have and for example, if you want to sign the data uh, with the key that is received from other user, for example, so you can also do this with the help of this option. So there are the different steps are given here. So you can use these each step to sign particular data or to sign a particular key using that option. So the advantage of using the or signing particular key, particular data with the key is that you have an authentication that the data is coming from legitimate user or the keys which are signed by the legitimate user. So in this way, you have a number of documents as well. As I told you that you can also encrypt the documents and keep the documents with this option, for example, that is also explained here as well. And I also told you the way you can do this with the help of software as well. For example, here uh, there are the different options used to encrypt the data. For example, the keys which you have created, and you can select the document from here. And once you select the particular document from here, and then you can encrypt the data using that the keys which you have created the previous state. And once you created these keys, you can also do this with the help of the software. And then you have uh, number of other options like, for example, you can also uh, encrypt the data